Hello everyone, this is another Black Conservative. I am Ryan Bowling. Thank you all for joining me. Well, have you all probably already heard about the surveillance video that came out that basically showed the school shooting, police officers going into the school shooting and basically retreating as they began to hear the gunshots going off. Now, I'm not going to get into the details of whether or not they was right or wrong. We'll talk about that a little bit later. But what I will be dealing with before I read this article from the Breitbart News is this lunacy coming from the Democrats. But I'm going to get into that a little later. Let me say this. There is a video in the article. You can go to www.breitbartnews.com. Into the description box. Look in the description box, and you can find that video yourself. I've watched the video. And you can find it yourself. It does show scenes that appear to show them retreating. But whatever the case may be, I'm not going to get into the details of it now. So we're going to get into this article, and I'm going to give you my detailed commentary. So let's begin. And the article starts off, recently leaked security video from the school massacre in May shows fully armed police retreating and holding back for 74 minutes before they finally engage a shooter. Released Tuesday, the video shows several officers in the Robb Elementary School hallway moving to engage the shooter, only to immediately retreat after being fired upon. Just 19 minutes after the shooting begins, police sporting ballistic shields arrive and yet still do nothing to engage the shooter for upwards of 50 minutes, during which officers can be seen checking their phones and wiping their hands with sanitizer. A full 74 minutes passed before police finally breached the door and engaged the shooter, who was killed by a Border Patrol agent who was part of a makeshift team of federal, state, and local officers. And as I said, you can see the video for yourself. It's pretty disturbing. 19 children and 2 teachers were killed during the shooting, while another 17 were wounded. And then it goes on to say here, there was a particular officer here. It says, let me see here. It says a Texas State University stated that a police officer even had the shooter in his rifle sight before he entered the school, but held back while waiting for, quote, permission to shoot. The report says a PD officer reported that he was at the crash site and observed the suspect carrying a rifle prior to the suspect entering the West Hall exterior door. The UPD officer was armed with a rifle and sighted it to shoot the attacker. However, he asked his supervisor for permission to shoot. And sometimes they have to do that. They have to do that. Oftentimes they have to do exactly what their supervisor said. The article goes on to say the UPD officer did not hear a response and turned to get confirmation from his supervisor. When he turned back to address the suspect had already entered the West Hall exterior door. The West Hall exterior door, continued. The report did, however, acknowledge that the officer was concerned that a bullet could have mistakenly, quote, penetrated the school and injured students, end quote, if he had missed a shot. Absolutely right. Absolutely right. Article goes on to say, ultimately, the decision to use deadly force always lies with the officer who will use the force. If the officer was not confident that he could both hit his target and of his background if he missed, he should not have fired, the report concluded. And that's the end of that article right there. But suffices to say, I saw the video. It's pretty disturbing, and it raises a lot of questions. Was this something planned? We can get into the conspiratorial part of it, but we're not going to get into that. What I want to first of all mention about entering into a building, because I enter into a building haphazardly and just shooting because you hear gunshots and going to place and just start shooting. I was trained, I said this in the previous video, I was trained as a police officer, and I did graduate. I never became officially a police officer, but I was trained and graduated from the Tri-C Police Academy in 2005, 2006. And during the shooting sessions, our instructors literally had us go to an abandoned school, okay? And they posed as shooters inside the school. And they gave us scenarios and told us, and we would go in 2 by 2, okay? And we would have to find the shooter. and we would have to. They had us wear these what's called red man outfits, which basically is protective gear to keep us from getting injured because we were using real guns. We were using real guns, but they were pellets. They were not, of course, real bullets, but they were real gun shells. You know, they were real gun shells, and they could penetrate your skin if you didn't have on protective gear. So we would put on these visors and protective over our face and over our arms and chest and everything. And the instructors would give these scenarios about an armed assailant inside the school somewhere you had to find. So we would have to go inside the building 2 by 2 and find this person. But we couldn't just go in shooting arbitrarily because we heard gunfire. Okay, so what's my point? I think you pretty well get my point. You just can't go in shooting indiscriminately, but that can be argued. We can argue all day about that. Here's the deal, what I want to talk about is it really bothers me with these Democrats who heard about this situation happening in the school, and the first thing they throw out there is, I'm talking about the politicians, gun control. We need more gun control. We need more gun control. Here's my argument. Here's my thing. Let's assume that this situation here shows a group of incompetent police officers not doing what they should have did to prevent more lives from being lost in this situation. Let's assume that they were really incompetent and were not confident about what they were supposed to be doing. So you mean to tell me that the issue is gun violence and that we need to get more guns off the street, and we as civilians need to depend on police officers and other law enforcement who are supposed to be highly trained to be able to deal with situations like this? If in fact this shows the incompetence of these police officers, then basically what these Democrats are saying is you need to put your life into the hands of incompetent police officers. Because what if something like this was to happen all over the state and all the different cities and all of the state, but in all the states and all the different cities? What if we have another scenario like this where there's a group of incompetent cops and that lack confidence to go in and take care of the situation? What if we have that happen again? What if you ban all the guns and say teachers can't have guns anymore? Teachers can't have guns. Nobody can have guns. We need to ban these guns because the problem is too many guns on the street. You ban all the guns and we have to depend on police officers and law enforcement. What if that happens again? More innocent lives will be lost. Why? Because these Democrats want us to depend on incompetent law enforcement officers if in fact this was the situation that they were being incompetent. You see the logic in that? It makes no sense. It makes no sense at all. You want us to put our faith in someone who is not able to do what they're supposed to do? Who's scared? Who has to ask for permission from their supervisor to shoot someone who's shooting down a bunch of innocent children? Got to get them guns off the street, man. Got to get them guns off the street. Gun control. Gun control is something that Thomas Sowell said. He said, it's so interesting how these liberals say, and I'm paraphrasing his words, they'll always talk about gun control, but when they create these laws and legislation for gun control, the guns are never controlled. What guns are you controlling? The only guns you controlling is the guns in the hands of law-abiding citizens. The crazy people like that guy that went in and killed all them kids, the criminals and the thugs and the gang members, you ain't controlling their guns. You controlling our guns, but you're not controlling their guns. See what I'm saying? The lunacy of these Democrats. I hope people don't keep falling for this foolishness. I hope they don't keep falling for this foolishness. What do you guys think about this? What do you guys think about this? Leave your comments in the comment section below. Like, share, and subscribe to this channel. God bless you all, and see you again on another Black Conservative.